What's going on out there, Culture Junkies? Welcome back to Culture Junkies Live. I'm your host, Kishiro. Today, we're going to be talking about the state of streaming shows and their very precarious situations that they find themselves in. I think they're in danger of completely going away. We got a lot of opinions on that. We're going to talk about Gamescom and a bunch of other stuff. But joining me on the show today, as always, are my friends, the great Adakuji, Simon Says, and back from his short vacation, GQ, the Collector. What's going on, my friends?
Hello, everybody. Oh. Not too much. You know, the same old, same old, same old, same old. Sit back, watching anime, playing some video games, occasionally seeing a movie. Everybody see that new Alien Romulus, where there was no Romulans in it at all. I mean, it was kind of disappointing. I was like, where's the Romulans?
Mm-hmm. Oh, that was kind of a lame dad joke. That was out there. That was out there. I remember that. That was out there. That was one of the memes that I saw.
Live long and prosper.
Indeed. But Alien Romulus, I had a good time with it. I know some people think it was a little bit too paint by the numbers. But I
didn't hate it, but it was.
Yeah. I mean, sure. It was very predictable in a lot of ways. But I think, what do we always say? Did you enjoy the movie? Did you have a good time? The answer is yes. So is it worth your time? Okay, G. Got another. Well, go ahead. What are you gonna say?
For me, and this is my honest opinion, and I was just, actually speaking with Prima about this, and Ricky from First Form the other day. Aliens for me peaked at Aliens. Like it honestly did. Like the first two movies are probably the best thing that's ever come out of that entire franchise. I didn't really like Prometheus that much. I didn't really like the one that followed Prometheus. Covenant. Yeah, Covenant. And this again, we've talked about the jokes of like scientists being stupid, but obviously they have to be stupid, otherwise the movie won't happen. Mm-hmm. That's fine. That is what it is. But some of the stuff, like for example, with Romulus, that I did not like, and obviously I'll avoid spoilers, was I didn't really care about any of the characters.
Yeah.
And that's, to me, even if everybody, like for example, Rogue One, we already knew going in, all of them were going to die. Because none of them existed in any other films that we've seen.
Suicide Squad.
By the end of that film, I knew every single character, their motivation, and cared about the fact that, oh, dang, they went out. Dang, that sucked. Oh, wow. Alien, I couldn't even remotely say that because I don't even remember any of the characters' names except the one freaking black android. That's it.
Andy and Rain!
Yeah, like that's like, they didn't give you any time or even opportunity to care about any of the other characters because like you guys said, they were paint by numbers characters, so it wasn't even interesting to me. And again, I sat through it, I enjoyed some moments of it, but it was very much a let's try to recapture Alien, and it's like you guys didn't earn that, and the story that was told was boring to me.
I heard that. What's up to MK Prior 12 over on YouTube? Welcome to see you. Thank you, the other Steve, for re-upping your subscription. That's 39 months for you. Thank you very much for being here.
Oh, wow.
Thanks, Steve.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you very much for being here. Yeah, I mean, I hear what you're saying. It wasn't like overly impressive, but it was good. I did hear some of the rumors though that perhaps they're going to get Fede Alvarez to do Aliens versus Predator. But what Fede Alvarez said he wanted to do is he said he wanted to do it almost like a Machete Grindhouse type thing with the director of Prey, where it's kind of like a dual film, two different perspectives. What would you guys think about if they did something like that?
Just make
so you're talking about. So you're getting what Robert Rodriguez to do?
No. The guy that did Prey to be the other director, along with Fede Alvarez for an Alien versus Predator.
Oh, movie. Prey. Okay, never mind.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I mean, the director did Prey he did a damn good job. I actually like.
Yeah, he did.
That should have came out in theaters.
That should have came out in theaters. But again, but I don't think we would have got the what is it? The Apache or whatever the language.
The dub.
I don't think we would have got that if it went in theaters.
Yeah. I mean, that was awesome. But something like that is easily just a language track on a Blu-ray. When you release it on Blu-ray, boom, there's your version. I mean, they've done stuff like that on other films. I honestly think trying to do a grindhouse double feature of Aliens and Predator. I don't know about that.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that would be stupid.
Okay, no, I can see that. I can see that. Iguana Man is over on the YouTube as well. Alien fans don't allow the directors to take any creative risks with movies, which that feeds into what we're going to be talking about a little bit later. So stay tuned. But I got something real quick for y'all, something real fun to kind of break the ice, and I want everybody to participate. Even those all the users on the chat and the Facebook and the YouTubes and the Twitches, even though you haven't checked in yet. I got this for y'all. So, a very valued contributor to our Facebook fan group by the name of Unscrupulous Counsel put this in our group, and I wanted to present it to the rest of y'all because I haven't heard your answer. Which of these Marvel storylines was your favorite? Marvel Superhero Secret Wars, the original from back in the 80s. Infinity Gauntlet, which was in the 90s. The Onslaught with the X-Men storyline, or Civil War. Let's go down the line. Which do you? Let's start with Simon Says, because I know you're a learned comic book reader. Which one was your favorite out of all four? And this is I hated him for making me choose just one.
Yeah, no, it's you a straight up asshole for that.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Hard, ain't it?
Yeah, because like off. Well, I take it. Well, I'll basically say this. I might just get rid of Civil War because I kind of didn't want. I do. When these motherfuckers went ahead, when they decided to unveil Spider-Man's secret identity, I was like, I'm done. So,
you were done. That was like the most interesting thing to me.
I went all the way through. I read the whole thing, but I was like, dude, it's like, okay, like you said, are you going to protect me and my family? And it's sure enough. But then again, and that's the only thing, the reason why I didn't like it, because they never kept up with the story. They just dropped the whole superhero act after the story was done. So I was like,
okay,
fuck that.
I didn't ask you which one was your least favorite, though. Give me your favorite. Go ahead.
I'm gonna go Infinity Gauntlet then.
Infinity Gauntlet, okay.
Yeah, so it was the most spectacular ass whooping in the history of comic books.
I heard that. GQ, what was yours?
I'm with Simon on this one. Infinity Gauntlet. Secret Wars obviously gave us Black Suit Spider-Man, and which was awesome. But Infinity Gauntlet was the first time that you had somebody literally just. And what I loved about it is, very unlike the films in the MCU, they started from the snap. It started at the snap, and then they basically had to work backwards. So I thought that was actually kind of cool to figure out, how to defeat Thanos. And outside of his reasoning for wanting to do what he did, which I think they vastly improved upon in the MCU, the Infinity Gauntlet for me was a pretty perfect arc as far as, story being told.
All right, that's fair. Dido, I know you're not a big comic book fan, but I know you're familiar with these.
I'm very much familiar with them. I didn't read all of the Infinity Gauntlet because it came out, I remember getting one or two of the comic books when I was a kid and reading those. So I guess the only one that I partially read would be Infinity Gauntlet. But I'm down to read them all now. If I can get those, what do you call those things? Those graphic novels? Yeah. If any of you got them, might as well let me borrow them.
I might be able to get. I think I got the hookup for you. I got the hookup for you, brother. You know enough people that can get it in your hands. Between me and Simon Says and Waffles. Yeah,
we got you.
We can get it to you. We got
you. All right.
Yeah, what's up to Amarak and Ali Dopke checking in, as well as Big Preem checking in as well. Appreciate y'all for stopping in.
Yeah, the only reason why, like I said, Infinity Gauntlet, this is a simple fact that the damn Celestials threw planets at Thanos was even. I was like, you can't even do it. He throwing planets at the brother, and he's still whooping your ass. That's
All right, so for me, Civil War was my favorite because of the negatives that Simon Says had. Is I had a fascination with the premise that what if the government legislated superheroism and supervillains and basically said you are not allowed to operate publicly without being licensed in the government. It presented a number of very interesting theories and possibilities of what that would be like in a practical sense, and then to see that the most popular superhero in that universe, Spider-Man, was so devastatingly affected by the legislation and him essentially picking a side and being betrayed by someone he really, really trusted, and him having to go on the run. Oh man, it was fascinating. Oh, it was so great. That, and Iron Man versus Captain America, that whole deal, it was great.
Don't forget how it divided the Fantastic Four too.
Yes, it did. Sue left Reed because of that shit. It was great stuff.
It was after when that Thor. Well, I'm gonna spoil it anyways for y'all who haven't read it. Y'all suck if y'all haven't read it. Killed Goliath, and that was the turning point. And I think it was her, Johnny, and Thing left.
They all thought it was one of the best examples of, like GQ always says, Reed is incredibly intelligent, but he doesn't think things through when he's doing shit. Like he came up with a novel solution, but it was so poorly thought out that it could have drastic consequences. Anyway, I digress. That was a nice little icebreaker. Thank you all for participating. Appreciate all of you for contributing to that, talking about it. I don't know what Marvel Rivals has anything to do with the comic book storylines, but we're going to go ahead and move on anyway. So got a lot of stuff to get to. I know Gamescom is going on. I haven't really been paying too much attention to the trailers or anything like that. That secret level thing, though, did catch my eye. I'm not familiar with secret level and what's going on. So is this supposed to be an animated anthology series from the perspective of a gamer that goes into various game worlds? Is that the premise? You guys know what I'm talking about? You guys know what I'm talking about?
There was a lot of videos, and I was trying to pick out which ones to look like based off of the thumbnail I'd be interested in. And the one that stood out the most to me that I picked to watch was Spine. I thought that looked interesting.
That looks sweet. That does look sweet.
Okay, yeah, I I'll have to rely on you guys out in the chat to tell us a little bit, because I am completely in the dark. I've been ignoring all the Gamescom stuff, and I feel like maybe some of it is because there's nothing really super interesting that I'm looking forward to coming out. I think that's part of it. The Mafia 4 trailer, I mean, I guess that could be awesome. Or Borderlands 4 got announced as well. A few other things dropping, but there's nothing that's like setting the.
You saw Terry Bogard? Are you okay?
Now, okay. Now the Terry Bogard trailer I did watch, and I am happy about that. It looks great. Yeah, it does look great. I have to admit. NK Prior tells I need them to show more Fable or a little gameplay, which I hate, which I get
exactly.
I think the issue for me with Gamescom and actually a lot of these trailers is most of the stuff they announced is like a year or two away.
Yep.
So it's like I'm not going to be playing this anytime soon. The Terry Bogard one, I already got the season pass for Street Fighter, the season pass too. So I'm going to get that as soon as it comes out. It's already blocked in. My next game purchase, what was it? Is it Dark Myth or Black Myth or whatever? That looks kind of interesting.
Black Myth Wukong, right?
That looked pretty interesting. So I might end up picking that up. But like realistically, my next locked in games purchase is probably either going to be Star Wars Outlaws or
Assassin's Creed, right?
Assassin's Creed Shadows. So it's just like I'm not really worried about what they're announcing, because again, some of this stuff is so far off that it's like, okay. I mean, once you hit me with that second trailer or see some more gameplay, I might be interested in picking it up. But for me, gone are the days where like we would be sitting there looking at E3, seeing like the Metal Gear Solid trailer and seeing like all this stuff of just amazing, first time ever games. Now it's like,
we can wait.
I'll get it. Yeah, exactly. I can wait. I'll get around to it at some point.
So no Dragon Ball? Nobody's interested in Dragon Ball?
Dude, I don't know. I
really don't care. I'm being honest. I do not
Dragon
care.
Ball games. After all the debacle back in the 90s with the Super Nintendo and the PlayStation game, and that Shin Butoden and all that Saturn stuff, I fell out of love with Dragon Ball games back then. And like not until Fighters came out, where I was like,
yeah,
"Oh, that looks
when
interesting."
Fighters came out,
And
I was
I
interested.
played it for 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
I gave it a little bit more than 2 minutes, but
I played
yeah,
with the hand a little bit.
but because it was a new style of Dragon Ball game and it was done like a more traditional fighting game, I was
Something I wish
interested.
we'd have got back in the 90s and the early 2000s.
Exactly, me too.
Mm-hmm.
But now that they've essentially retreaded and gone back to what came out before, I don't care. I don't care. There's nothing new here. I've played those types of games before. I'm not interested. You know, I left that back behind when I was a teenager. I'm not doing that again. Anyway, I digress. That's because some of our game talk. GQ, you brought up something that you kind of wanted to talk about a little bit before we get into our main thing.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
One of the groups that I'm in on Facebook is called PCS Collectibles Collectors Group, basically, and it's related to the I think they've changed their name. It used to be Pop Culture Shock Collectibles. They've since changed their name, I believe, to Premium Collectibles Source or something along those lines. It's run by a guy named Ant Adams, who's actually a really cool guy. He's very active in the group. He's actually the CEO of the company. But they've made a decision that, in my opinion, is not a great decision from his side of things. Probably a financial standpoint, probably, you know, there was the reason this decision was made. But for those that don't know, when you purchase a statue, or, you know, especially like a quarter scale or above statue, a lot of companies will have the statue, you know, obviously boxed in styrofoam. One of the newer things is to put straps around the styrofoam instead of trying to tape the styrofoam halves together, because this is, you know, obviously it's much more secure. Then that box goes inside of what's called an art box. So usually the artwork box is a very, you know, artsy, cool representation of the statue that's inside the box. Normally they'll pose the statue with some cool background or whatever, take some shots of it, and that is essentially what the box is, the outer box that you get. I can share some images, so when he has a chance, he can share them to kind of give you an idea. Yep, those are 3 of the statues that I have. That kind of gives you an idea of what the art boxes look like. Unfortunately, it seems like this company is going to be discontinuing those art boxes, so you will no longer be getting that nice looking art box, which for me as an unboxer kind of takes away part of the presentation, in my opinion, because it's like, okay, now I'm just going to have a shipper box that I'm opening up with a styrofoam box inside, and that's it, basically, you know, with the statue. I know for retailers, it's probably going to suck for them, because displaying these statues is kind of dangerous. And if you have a retail store, unless you have a, you know, behind the counter setup where you can just have all these, you know, displayed back there, nobody ever goes back there. But even your employees might actually potentially knock these over. These statues can get dusty. Essentially, that can mess with the paint. I mean, there's all sorts of things to consider. If you can at least just put the box out there, depending on the size of the box, of course, that'll at least give people an idea of what it is that they're going to be purchasing. You don't have to really worry about potentially damaging the merchandise, because every second that it's out there in the open is a second that it has an opportunity to be broken and basically become worthless. So yeah, them getting rid of it is for me a bummer, because they've already gotten rid of the certificate of authenticity cards that used to come with the box too. The only certificate of authenticity you have now is actually the base itself. The base on all of these statues has a numbered marker basically underneath it, and that's how you know which out of the numbered ones, which one you got. But to me, having that certificate of authenticity card, I apologize, I should have sent you a photo of this too. I like displaying those with the statue, because it looks, it's a good look. It looks cool. It's like, hey, this particular statue, here's what its name is, number, blah, blah, blah.
It's almost like it got graded when you do it that way, right?
Exactly. So for them to be getting rid of that, in my opinion, is it kind of dulls some of the presentation. It dulls some of the allure, basically, of like when you do an unboxing video, especially. And I think another thing is, they're not really, he even said it, it's like, I believe he said they're not really saving that much money, a couple of dollars, he said within single digits of savings. It's like, well, if it's single digits of savings, these statues average. Yeah, it's like these statues average on price, on most instances, $400 and up. So it's like, if the consumer is already giving you $4, $5, $6, whatever $100, you saving a couple of bucks just to get rid of the art box, to me is not really a huge savings, because you're not passing that on to the consumer. Exactly. And the other issue is, make it an option, because like give me the option, because again, these things are normally pre-ordered. It's like, they're pre-ordered months, sometimes years in advance. Okay, cool. Give me the option to have an art box made with my particular purchase. If I want to do that, cool. If I don't, all right, fine. Knock $5 off or whatever it's going to be. Because again, in the group, a lot of people said they didn't want art boxes. They just end up getting them. They put them in a storage somewhere because it's just a box to them.
Okay, and I hear that, right? I hear all of that, but here's what I see, right? I see, much like you, the problem of. Here's where I think it'll help your presentation, because now truly you won't know what's in the box when you actually put it on there. You're going to unbox it and you're going to see it, right? That's number one. Number two, though, all I hear when I hear this, all I hear is an increased insurance premium. Because what's going to happen when somebody knocks this off the shelf, the employee knocks it off the shelf? First, you're going to take it out of their hide. The second thing you're going to do is go and get another from PCS. And they're not going to be like, oh, well, you broke it, you need to pay for another one. No, or you can do this insurance premium with us to replace it. So this to me feels like a mechanism for another cash grab. What do you say?
Well, the cash grabs are all over the place, of course. If you talking about it's only going to save single digits in dollars, to some people that looks like it's a lot, because if you think about it, you got people out there with billions of dollars, which is just so much money most people can't understand it, and they do things just to gain like 10 cents here and 20 cents there and a couple thousand here, and it's like that doesn't even scratch anything. You could be perfectly fine stopping making money right then and there. Once you hit $1 billion, you can be good for the rest of your life, but they keep trying to squeeze little bits out of it. So it's an issue. Some people, when they got an itch, they got to keep on scratching it. And I don't know if that's their thing. Maybe it's like I said, their company maybe not doing as well as we think they're doing, and they have to cut corners as much as possible. But I understand not wanting to have a whole bunch of boxes around, because as you guys may see, you don't see it. I put together Legos, and I got these empty boxes all over the place. What the hell am I supposed to do with this? At the moment,
in a recycling bin. That's what you're supposed to do.
I could, and also because Legos have high resale value. If I ever get to the point where I'm like, you know what, I'm going to sell these things, I could, sell, all the stuff with the box and probably get as much as what I paid for it.
So here's what I see. Here's what I see. Dido's going to want to resell his Legos. He's going to get the box, literally take the Lego, drop that boy right on the ground.
I don't think I'm gonna drop it in the ground.
Sweep them up and then put it back in the box.
Put the whole thing in there. I don't know.
Simon, what's your thoughts on it, man?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about that whole the box thing, because like, yeah, it would be. Well, I mean, I think I agree with what you're saying. Because like, yeah, what if you want to, like, some people don't want the box and they want, or if they do want it, they could just like give you like, jack the price up, or like you said, give like a discount on like the ones that you don't want the actual cover art. That would be that would be like a nice little like incentive, like if you want to make a decision or whatnot. But then that kind of takes away like people who are actually like in business, like like GameStop that has these figures. And that's kind of like look kind of like whack. It's like just basically it's like no, it's like you think about it. It's like, okay, the box is just a plain cardboard styrofoam box, and then you're trying to sell this thing, but it's like what's in that box, like know. But how it's like supposed to know. Yeah, how you don't know? I think they really should have it to where you have to pay like a certain amount, like for the whole box. You pay a premium price, and then like the styrofoam box without the the art is a discount. That'll satisfy.
That could potentially work. I mean, the other thing is, and you guys brought it up, is the resale market. Like, for example, if you go on eBay, most of the people that are selling these on eBay do have the the full box, the full styrofoam, and everything. So you're getting everything that you paid for originally. I can't imagine getting one of these statues, and the only thing I'm getting now in the mail is a styrofoam box with a shipper box around it.
Exactly.
It just seems like a cheaper thing, almost like a knockoff almost.
And it's like,
can you imagine like the amount of fraud that's going to happen with that?
Yeah,
can you imagine?
Exactly. Yeah. It's like you get the box and there's nothing in it. It's like, oh yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
there's a lot of danger. Yeah, and again, I personally don't resell any of my stuff anyway, but I'm just thinking for people that do,
Yeah.
it's like even when I was taking a peek around eBay earlier, just for the 3 statues that I used as examples, it's like that Laura statue is sold out at size, so you can't get it anymore from them. You can't get it from PCS, the actual manufacturer that made it. And every eBay listing I saw, either if it was already sold, was $1,000 plus about $300 or more in shipping. So it's like you talking almost $1,500 for a statue that didn't cost anywhere close to that, but it comes with everything that originally was there. Imagine trying to hustle that price out of somebody when you just have a styrofoam box and a brown box around it.
Exactly.
I don't know about that.
So last thing before we move on, I got a fantastic idea for you. You need to work this into your videos moving forward. One, you need to do 1 or 2 videos literally appraising your collection and putting a price on it, right? Because people know, like Q is in the chat over on Facebook. He says, I bet your collection is crazy, GQ. And that just got me thinking, right? How much is your collection actually worth if you were to sit there and appraise it? That could keep you busy for a little while.
That could keep me busy, but that was also something I wouldn't put out in public, because if you insure something like that, that's not a figure I put out in public. I'll just be 100% honest with everybody. I'll do a room tour, and you guys, if you see the room tour, you can pause and kind of figure out stuff on your own. But for me to put that figure out there publicly, no, because I'm really realistically, a lot of my stuff is insured, and I don't really want to play around with that whole idea of, he said it was worth this, and now he's saying it's worth this. You know what I'm saying?
He's got video proof.
Yeah,
it's like I got you on video.
I'd rather just let it be like, hey, if you guys see it in the background, and you can check it on eBay and see what what it compares. But I do legally have some of this stuff actually insured, and I don't want to start claiming numbers that are different than what I've already insured it for. Because
you don't want to do the Donald Trump approach.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I personally don't have I don't have his access to lawyers that he's not going to pay anyway.
That part right there.
To keep myself out of prison or jail.
That part right there. All right, y'all. Yeah. So we're gonna move along, and we're gonna get to kind of what we came here to talk about today. So I don't know if you heard, but the Acolyte got canceled. And
rumored still.
I use
the
term.
It's rumored still.
Well, here's what I will say to address your rumor. Disney has already scrubbed the Acolyte from their merch store. Scrubbed it.
Yeah, but until they officially say it.
But here's the only other show that they did that with. That Willow show, which is no longer on Disney Plus. You can't even find it. So I'm just saying, you do with that what you will. But the decision on the Acolyte was apparently made according to Deadline, and they said that they chose not to go forward with it because the viewership, while initially pretty good, pretty much tanked right after that. We can go over the numerous reasons why that happened. You can go back and watch our previous show where we talked about how the show kind of ultimately disappointed us in the end, in the fact that it didn't meet its expectations, but it had a lot of potential that it just didn't meet. And usually when you do that, these things kind of things happen. But Ahead of Omega put a really good reason in there as well, that how expensive that damn show is. So I just wanted to talk about this, and I know Dido, you got a perspective you want to talk about. But I just feel like specialized streaming shows, right, based on these really popular IPs where people expect the entire world, I feel like they may be on in hospice care. And the reason I say that is because like Dido was getting ready to bring up, a lot of these fans aren't really supporting it like they probably should. Go ahead.
I mean, talk about it. Look, I understand everybody's not going to like everything, and that is just something. Not all people like peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Some people like to put onions in them. I'm not one of them, but I've heard people do it, and some people like it. I'm not going to crush your cookies. You can crush your own, if you get what I'm saying. But to put out the vitriol that a lot of these people did hurts the whole entire product altogether. Mainly because if it's not making them money, and they look at something that's not making them money, they're not going to do things that make them money. You want original stories? That's not going to happen because it was an original story. You want to see characters that were only talked about before that were in canon or legends and see it? That's not going to happen because it's not making them money. Like Plagueis, for example. People were excited. Oh, you got to see Plagueis. We like to see stories around him. Maybe it'd be kind of cool if Chimera gets a show and you see how he's training, blah, blah, blah. You're not going to see that because you guys shitted on what was a start. And not a good shit. It wasn't the fertilizer that helped it grow. It was literal poison and shit to, cause it to die off. Disney doesn't look at stuff like fans. They're not like, oh yeah, back when I was a kid and I had ideas of this and now I'm in the creative role and I can start making stuff because I want to put out creativity stuff. No, they are for making money. If product A sells and makes money and continues to make money, they're going to keep doing product A. You might get A squared, A minus, but it's all going to be revolved around that. And if you get tired of A, that's too bad because when they put out B, and B can be good for some people and be, subjectively bad for other people. If you do what these fans have consistently been doing with Star Wars, they're going to be like, we're done. And if that's what you want, if you just want to continue to just see more Skywalker, and I guess that's what we're going to get.
Simon, GQ?
Go ahead, Simon.
Yeah, and it's funny thing that you be talking about this, and I'm gonna bring up one streaming show, and Kenshiro, you can attest to it. Jupiter's Legacy. That show was dead on arrival. Man, I was excited, but that show was dead on arrival as soon as that bitch hit. I was like, because like I read both books, and yeah, it was like, and also because like Netflix has a habit of like purchasing old shows that have been canceled. They did it with Lucifer. I think they did Blacklist. They've done bring back like popular shows that have been canceled, so they know how to navigate through that. And like you said, Disney is kind of like one of those things where it's like not like they listen to the fans, but they saw how the fans were reacting to the actual show, and they just I think and it's like kind of like this. If you really think about it, everyone was shitting on the show, saying that it was like, oh yeah, this is bad, and then like, and I bet you the ones that were shitting on it are now pissed that the show is canceled for a second season because, quote unquote, they won't be able to shit on it because now it's canceled. So you got your wish. So
sure, the grifters won't be able to make content on it. But to your point, like what Netflix does is actually very smart and shrewd, because what they're doing is they're essentially picking up on already established fan bases. The show has been running for a number of years. It gets canceled on regular TV. They say, oh well, we're gonna swoop in, we're gonna rescue it for maybe 1 or 2 seasons, let the story finish. Now we're gonna get a bunch of subscribers, and it's essentially it's low investment for them, right?
It is
because they can literally just, like you said, the Blacklist was on NBC. It got canceled. They picked it up, let it persist for one more season, and then they ended it with Lucifer, fairly popular show that was airing on Fox. Fox cancels it. They pick it up. They let Lucifer run for I think it was 2 seasons. Seasons they let Lucifer run for extra. They got extra fans for that. People came over, they appreciated it, they subscribed, and boom, it was over. So
they did that with Manifest as well.
They did. You're right. Yeah. They did it with Manifest. So, but I guess getting back to the discussion, GQ, and I'll let you go here, talking about the fans who don't support shows and are literally kind of threatening their ability to get more content for them to consume. What do you think of this whole thing and this trend?
I think the issue that people have to understand is Streaming, the pandemic, and all that stuff opened up a whole different can of worms for entertainment. There used to be a time, for those that don't know, when you had TV and it was called appointment TV and appointment viewing. And essentially that show came on once a week or whatever its set time was. And that was it. It would come on that time. And then if you missed it at that time, you would catch it later in syndication, maybe some years down the road. You were not going to get, maybe. You were not going to get an immediate rerun, I'll just run it back and watch it right away unless you recorded it yourself. And a lot of shows, if they weren't episodic, if they had any type of carryover for their episodes, they usually would have to put some type of cliffhanger, some type of something to get you to hook you in and make sure that you were ready to come back next week and see how this plays out, how this continues, how this goes. Streaming services, unfortunately, have almost eliminated the need for that for a lot of the way stories are told. Again, another conversation that Prima and I were having. If you look back at like shows like Breaking Bad would, it came on network TV or cable actually, but, essentially still the network formula of, leaving space for commercials, obviously making sure that they did something to make sure that you came back next week to keep watching it or, keep tuning in. And now that shows are like, okay, you can just binge it, or it's the whole season's going to drop in one day or whatever. It's almost like the writers aren't trying to keep that same hook into their programming, because if you look at the way the Acolyte is paced, they know that it's going to be on streaming. They know that, okay, there's going to be 8 episodes or whatever, 6 or whatever, how many episodes are going to be, and it's going to be available in a very short period of time. So we're not worried about making sure that each episode hooks you and draws you and pulls you back in. And personally, that's been kind of Disney's problem with all of their stuff so far. They're looking at it not in that same network mindset. They're looking at it in the sense of, oh, well, people are just going to binge this or watch it on demand. It's like, no, write it to the point where it's so engaging that I can't not wait to hit play for the next episode. I want to be able to, it's like you have to make sure that that's the same level of engagement that you used to have, back when we were all kids watching shows. And it's just like, yeah, you got to make sure that, hey, next Thursday, 8:00, I'm gonna be in front of the TV because I got to make sure I see what the rest of this is going to be. They've lost that sense of urgency just because the business model of streaming has pretty much eliminated it. And unfortunately, for me, the products have suffered because they're not writing them with that intent of, this has to be the next thing that you want to see on your screen going forward, the next part of this, especially when they're releasing them in a weekly fashion. It's like, you got to make sure it's got weekly writing where like, yeah, I will make sure I'm there to watch that as soon as it drops. Now, granted, we're watching it because it's, it's content for us and we're keeping it up, and we're, obviously making sure that we want to stay up to date for our viewers that are here on the podcast.
Right.
But the average person, they don't got no podcast. They don't got no fans that they trying to have a conversation with. They're just trying to catch a good show. Write these things as if you're back on network TV rules, because
if you're going to do it week to week.
Yeah. Oh, no, absolutely. No. Even if you were going to do a full season drop, it should be that still same feeling of, I got to see the next episode. Because imagine if you were watching a season of something and the pacing is so bad that you're like
the Acolyte.
Yeah, it's like, I don't even know if I want to watch the next episode.
Yeah,
but they were banking on Star Wars. That's what mainly the reason.
They were.
They were without question. Smart, and that's not good. Like look at Cobra Kai. Cobra Kai. Now, granted, Dido has not watched as far as I know, has not watched.
I still haven't watched it because they feel. I thought there was. I told you. I thought it was gonna be 2 parts, and now I don't know what that one.
Gotta wait for 3. Gotta wait for 3.
I got you. But what I'm saying is, look back at the last season though. When they dropped that, you were watching those one right after the other, I guarantee, because they made you want to see, dude, that ended. What are they about to do next? And then it was right there ready for you to do. Even though, yes, you can drop an entire season. If the episodes are not so engaging where it's like, oh man, what are they about to follow this up with? I got to watch the next. If they're not written that way, that's a problem. And unfortunately for the Disney stuff, their writers have not been writing that stuff that way. They're treating it like I think Han said earlier. these probably would have worked better as movies, because now for 2 hours or whatever, you're locked in. You're going to be sitting there in the theater watching it. Versus, I'll check the next episode if I feel the need to check the next episode. It should never be that. They should be writing it to the point where like you have to watch the next episode because you're so locked in. They're not doing that.
And I hear everybody, you guys are making really great points, and so are the people in the chat. I've seen people talking about how they're not writing complete stories anymore, which is absolutely true. King Takeem had just mentioned it's all cliffhangers and tropes. What Iguana Man is saying, what gets lost is Disney is new to TV and streaming. They have no experience in either realm. They're going to get knocked around, which I don't know if you can use that as an excuse anymore, because they've been doing Disney Plus for like 4 years now, 4 or 5 years now. They've had some hits. They've had more misses than hits, granted, but I don't think they're new to this whole streaming game with any of their IPs. I don't want to hear that.
Disney's new to streaming. They're definitely not new to TV. Disney's been doing TV for a very long time. They should understand the formula at least. Now, granted, a lot of their stuff was cartoons and it was episodic, but even still, they're not new to understanding that you need to get your hooks in and make people want to watch whatever it is that you're putting on your screen. So yeah, I'm not giving Disney a pass on the TV aspect or the naivete, so to speak, of streaming, because it's like y'all have been doing entertainment since before any of us were alive.
And you know, I see a little bit pushback on me saying that Disney had, you know, more misses than hits, and obviously this is all really subjective, right? When I say they have more misses than hits, I'm talking specifically not just about the Marvel and Star Wars IPs, but I'm also talking about Disney Plus as a whole, where they've tried to throw a lot of things at the wall and see if something sticks, and it just doesn't. I'm talking about that one show they had, you know, one season with Michelle Yeoh that got canceled. No, not Willow.
I know you're not saying Willow. I'm saying Willow.
Yeah, Willow is one. Willow is one, but they also had this. I think it was American Chinese Story or something like that, or that had Michelle Yeoh that lasted one season. They've had other things with. They had a John Stamos show, him coaching. You know, a young girls basketball team that lasted one season and it was done. I'm just saying that
Percy Jackson.
Percy Jackson is getting a second season. So again, you know, so some things are. Well, yeah, some things are hitting, but I think there's way more misses than there are hits, just because of the sheer breadth of content that they're trying to put out on Disney Plus. But let me re-steer the conversation elsewhere. When we're talking about IP shows, right? One of the biggest problems that I think we're seeing, and this is across the board, this isn't a uniquely Disney thing, is that streaming, a lot of these streaming shows are super expensive to make. You're looking at Star Trek Discovery. It has essentially a movie effects budget where the production quality of Star Trek Discovery, Strange New Worlds is leaps and bounds above anything that you would see on network TV. The same could be said for any of the Star Wars TV shows, any of the Marvel TV shows. They all have movie style budgets, but they're turning into serialized. And I think that's lending to being some of the problem why I think this is starting to become a little unsustainable with regard when you talk about the amount of money that it takes, low fan support, and increasingly vitriolic reactions to things even before they come out. What do you guys say?
I think that what you're saying is right when it comes to expense, because like they're trying to put the quality of the movies in these shows. Like if they need to do it that way, they should just make a movie and make it a streaming movie and just do a movie. But they have the capability of using I don't want to say lesser actors. I don't want to say B actors, just other actors who are not maybe, you know, expensive, like big stars. Or stories that don't need to have all those special effects, because I'm pretty sure Daredevil, Punisher, Jessica Jones, all those are less expensive to make than what was that one that was really bad with it was the Secret Wars. This is covered by MCU. or Moon Knight or any of those things, when they have to be so, what's computer generated stuff, and depending on what actor they get in there, how much they got to pay them, and all this other stuff. I mean, I think it's possible for them to tell stories that aren't as expensive, and Star Wars will be a little bit harder, unless if you cut out like the space travel, if you cut out the various locations, if you cut out a lot of that, but that depending on people, they would probably think that's a boring, like what you call it, because you can't have a Monster of the Week Star Trek type show or something. I don't know, but the expense, it can be changed. I think if they're gonna make Star Wars stuff, keep it a movie. You don't necessarily have to drop it in the theaters. It could be a Netflix movie. Excuse me. It could be a Disney Plus movie. It could be put in the movies. Maybe for the stuff that that don't need to be movies, that they can actually do episodes like Daredevil. I'm pretty sure Daredevil doesn't cost nearly as much as, I don't know why the Samuel Jackson was in there with the fucking aliens and
Secret Wars, Secret Invasion.
Oh, Secret Invasion. It was that not rememberable. I forgot the freaking name of it. Secret Invasion, because like there was a lot of stuff that made it expensive. Samuel Jackson is expensive. Don Cheadle, I'm pretty sure he's expensive, and Emilia Clarke. Those are all expensive actors because they were all in, movies or doing other TV shows that say, you know what, if I'm going to do this, you're going to have to pay me. And they have a myriad of stories that they could do. One day we'll see if they make that decision, because again, it's all about them making money. And
I think one Star Wars thing that falls into exactly what you're saying is Andor. Andor, if you look at, now granted, there's obviously some expensive set pieces and points and stuff and things that happen, but as far as Andor compared to Acolyte, Andor is way cheaper to make, just because of mainly one, once they got the story really going, one main location for Andor, and then like the other, the other stuff that was going on the Imperial base or whatever, simple sets, because it was always in interiors, sitting around a conference table, what I'm saying? Just very easy stuff to do from a budget standpoint versus what we saw in Acolyte. Now, granted, Acolyte, this set cost $180 million to make. I'm sure a lot of that went to CG in some instances, but for what we sat through and watched, I don't know if I saw a full 180 million. I'm just being straight up. Like,
it was largely practical. Practical.
Which is cool.
Because like some of the, because like some of the set, some of like the that part where she was repairing the ship looked like it was just a set. It didn't look like CG to me. I'm just saying. Where she was like, it's like what. So yeah, like you said, where's that 180 million going? Or
here's where I think it's going. Here's where I think it's going. So in Andor, you had Diego Luna, who isn't a top flight actor. You had you're right. Yeah. You had Stellan Skarsgård.
Yeah.
And then you had a bunch of other characters. Oh, then you had what's his name? Famous actor did Caesar for Planet of the Apes movies. He was Claw.
You're talking about
name's escapes me right now.
We know who you're talking about.
Andy.
Yeah.
Serkis.
Yeah, Andy Serkis. Andy Serkis. Thank you. Andy Serkis. So if you think about it, those three are like the biggest names attached to Andor. Did they command all that salary? I highly doubt it. Right? But
those are good.
Where did the rest of that money go?
Well, again, like I said, Andor I don't think was that expensive by comparison. I'm saying for the Acolyte, 180 million seems like a bit much for what was presented on screen.
Yeah,
I could see 180 million for what we saw in Ahsoka, for example. Which is funny. We got three series all with the start with the letter A, but
I know, right?
It's like Ahsoka had space travel, it had lightsaber fights, it had all the crazy stuff they were doing in the hyperspace with the whales and whatnot. It had stuff that they spent money on these sequences, and why they did, because CG is expensive.
Don't forget about the in between worlds.
Yeah, the world between worlds. Bringing back Hayden, Darth Vader sequences. They had stuff that for a fact cost money. Andor, it had some lightsaber fights, and we all enjoyed the lightsaber choreography and the stuff that was going on. But if you look at the at Chimere's outfit, it's very simple. The helmet was cool, and he had an armband basically.
Mm.
Everybody's outfits were very straightforward, simple,
Very straightforward.
you know, no ridiculous flair. We had, you know, a couple of instances of force power stuff. We had some crazy
Stunt
lightning bug,
choreography.
some stunt choreography. And then overall, it was like we were on Kashyyyk, we were in Coruscant, and you know that Coruscant shot is once they rendered that once, it's done.
That
They
shit is
probably
stock. Yeah,
it's like
stock.
that's a stock
Yeah.
Coruscant shot that they kept using.
They just
And
like
it's
made it a little bit more presentable back
yeah,
in
it
the
just
day.
made it look cleaner because it was,
Yeah.
you know, High Republic. And it's
Yeah.
like, and again, I'm not knocking it. I know how much work goes into all of this stuff. At the end of the day, though, if the Acolyte was done as a really well edited movie for 180 all day long, no problem. But
Yeah.
as a series, it was a hard. And again, I didn't say I enjoyed it, but the pacing, and we've all agreed on this. The
Yeah,
all
pacing
agreed
sure
on
have.
All
that
agreed on that.
whole
100%.
week to week thing just was
Yep.
off. If this would have been a
Yep.
movie that we would all just went to the theater and sat down and watched, all right, cool. Obviously, still edited and paced together better. But you know, and again, I'm with you guys 100% on saying that this should not have been canceled, and this is a big loss because this is basically sending a message that okay, when you guys do stuff outside of the Skywalker saga, or when you do stuff that's, you know, this, we're not going to support it. And again, obviously not saying us, but people at large and all the people that were hating on it before it even started and review bombing the wrong daggone thing on Rotten Tomatoes. You know what I'm saying? Like all of the negativity just is, there's no point to it outside of, ooh, look what we did. It's like you didn't really do anything but hurt people that actually wanted to see some good stuff or see more of the thing that they love. Just because y'all are, you know, butthurt that Disney bought it. It's like, well, if y'all didn't run Lucas off, Disney would have had nothing to buy.
I think he just was. I don't know if he ran them off. But he was just probably ready for retirement and didn't want to think about.
I mean, that could be. Hey, man, he has. I don't know how many billions.
He's not making it. I mean, he could still be making movies if he wanted to, but he's not.
No. I'm not saying again. I'm not saying that that's the only reason, but he did in interviews at the time say, "I'm kind of tired of dealing with all of this. I'm just trying to put, you know, my thing out. I'm trying to do my movie." And the backlash he got from Jar Jar and all the other stuff is like, okay, y'all are kind of ungrateful about this. I'm good.
They are.
Yes, and he's like, I'm good. I'm going to sell this off. So trust me, Disney's not going to sell Star Wars. I don't care how much people.
They'll stop making it, but they won't sell it.
Right. It's like the IP is way too valuable, regardless of what people say about the products and the movies and stuff that they're making. Star Wars is still a license to print money. Just owning it and sitting on it, you're printing money. So it's like all these people trying to, oh, Disney's gonna fail, we're gonna drive them out of business. Like, you'll never drive Disney out of business. Disney could buy your house and your family and just off you, and nobody will ever know. So it's like, stop acting as if we're gonna rise up and take over the evil corporation. Yeah, right. Disney's been around for longer than anybody cares to even think about.
I am worried about the future of streaming TV shows. Like I get excited when I hear new things. And I think Hand of Omega was in the chat. And he asked, you know, about what did we think of the Skeleton Crew trailer. Now the Skeleton Crew trailer came out, I think came out at D23 last week. Was it last week or was it the week before? I forget. But
last week.
Okay, so when the Skeleton Crew trailer came out and I watched it, I was super excited. I loved everything about it because it looked like genuinely authentic, you know, Star Wars Goonies style, right? That's immediately my mind went straight to the Goonies as soon as I saw it. It was an adventure. It was a bunch of kids, adorable kids, you know, going on a you know, an adventure across the galaxy, and you know, it wasn't nobody that you recognize. And then you see what happened with Andor and all the vitriol that came out after, you know, essentially celebrating his demise and all this other kind of stuff that is really annoying. And now it's got me really worried about what's going to happen with, we got to protect those kids. Like somehow those kids need to be protected from the online vitriol that is going to be coming their way. Because these entitled fans and the way they carry themselves online is starting to make the fandom a place you don't want to even engage with anymore. Like, I am so very much thankful for the Culture Junkie Nation and the community that we've built on Facebook and that we're trying to build across here on the video channels, because we're literally trying to cultivate. I'm sorry.
Okay. Yeah, we kind of
What?
like lost you for a minute.
You lost
You
me?
kinda, yeah, you won.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, I was gonna say I didn't think anyway. So
Okay.
I'm very thankful for the community that we've been building, is because we try and keep a lot of that negative nonsense out of the discourse and literally just talk about the enjoyment of what we're watching. Yes, not everything is going to knock our socks off, but I think we've evolved to the point where we're past just shitting on stuff just to shit on it. We usually, when we say something, it's a legitimate gripe. It's not based on, oh, well, this is woke, or this has got a female in it, or it's got they're changing lore and they're doing this, and just getting, unreasonably upset about something, right? People just don't know how to enjoy things anymore, it seems like. What do you guys think?
I've been saying that for a very long time. Because you can either enjoy it or not enjoy it. You can say you don't like it, and you can say why you don't like it, but not get into all this other stuff. Because like starting with God darn it, left the actor that played Jar Jar.
Ahmad Best.
Yeah, Ahmad Best.
Mm-hmm.
Started with him, and like to the point where this man didn't want to be on this planet anymore, and then it just kept going. What was her name? Kelly Tran. They were doing it with her.
Daisy Ridley.
Daisy Ridley. They were doing it with Moses. Not Moses.
Moses Ingram.
Yeah. Abram. But they just, and it's just like, how can you call yourself fans, and then everything that they try to put out is just like, hate. These people are just acting a story to character. I've been seeing stuff on TikTok now that is just now coming out, and it's probably been around for a long time, that a lot of people don't think these celebrities are real people. It was a story about this guy who was friends with a guy who was friends with Jason Momoa, and they were just hanging out. And it was a part where they were at a bar just having some drinks, and he hasn't seen his kids in a bit. Jason Momoa's on a phone call, talking to his kids, saying, I haven't seen you guys in a while. Just having, trying to say hi to his kids. And somebody came over mid while he's on the phone, poked him on the shoulder to try to get, like, can I get a picture? And it's like, just give me a minute. I'm on the phone with my kids. And then this person starts crying, goes get the boyfriend, and tries to confront Jason Momoa because you're not going to talk to my woman like that. And
that is insane.
That's just some of the stories. Like, I watched this guy who watches, his name is Matt McCarthy, and he does VHS tapes. He's a big VHS head collector, goes to estate sales, gets VHS tapes just to see what's on them, see the history, the commercials, what's been taped, blah, blah, blah. And he's an actor, comedian. And at one time, he was in a bunch of Verizon commercials, and he was somewhere, and people were treating him like they're like, oh my gosh, you're that dude in a commercial, or just taking pictures of him out of nowhere. And he was at a wedding, and some woman was like, hey, you should come over and talk to my daughter. And he goes to his wife and like, hey, this lady thinks I should, like, they're not treating them like they're people, like them. They're treating them worse than just because they're known and on TV. They're not known. You don't know these people. You just see them on the television, and you don't have any right to act like this towards these people. But consistently, they can't separate, for, I guess, in their brains or something, whatever they're watching on the TV and how they feel about what is going on. They try to attack the actor. That's like, being mad at fucking salt. Don't fucking put the salt in your food then if you don't. Just don't watch it. Don't eat it.
Like, look at what's happened just recently with Amanda Stenberg, just in the past couple of days. Like, she had shut down her Instagram because the announcement of the Acolyte getting canceled, they were all up in her comments, like talking about, ha ha ha, this, and wishing bad things on her about, all this other kind of stuff, which is absolutely crazy. Oh, side note, MK Prior 12. This is for you.
Yeah.
This is for you. Just saying. But yeah, man, these fans get crazy, and that's what makes me worried.
I wouldn't even call them
fans,
necessarily
worried.
Maybe I guess they're fanatics. I guess I don't know.
They're fanatics,
it's ridiculous.
But are they really fans when they're doing stuff like this? Like, I just don't see a lot of this stuff becoming sustainable. And if they keep souring the well and make it, do they want to go back to when people essentially hid their fandom and never talked about it?
It's just going to be
And we're
all
never
AI
open with
actors.
it.
That's what's going to happen.
Right. Like,
I
it's
don't know
just
that
crazy, dude.
I don't know that it's going to get to that. What's up to Sharita in the chat? She joined in. She's saying that it's crazy. She remembers when the actor that played Joffrey was getting hate, and he it seems like he had quit
Yes.
acting. He was I don't know if he quit acting or he think he wanted to.
No, he didn't
No, I
quit.
think he did.
He
I thought he
stopped
quit.
No, he's back acting. He's still
Oh, he
acting.
is? He
Yeah,
went
he's
back?
back acting,
Yeah.
but I think he took a long break
Well,
after Joffrey.
and Preem brought it up even with Jake Lloyd, who played young Anakin. He went through the same issue, and he went through a
Yes.
lot of depression
Yes.
after all the hate he was getting for playing the character. That, again, like I've said it a million times, any one of these haters, if Disney walks up to them and just says, "Here, we're gonna hand you a check to be in Star Wars," guess what? They're gonna be in Star Wars.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's ridiculous for these people to be sitting here throwing all this negativity towards this stuff. It's like, yes, if you don't like the product, cool. You don't like it, that's great. Other people do. It's not your mission in life to try to get everything that you don't like canceled, because then that's just
There it is.
now
That right there.
you know, the entitlement and just the whole, you know, selfishness basically
Yeah.
is silly. And it's just
It's
like, look,
not.
these companies don't care that much about you as an individual. It's that's not their job to care about you as an individual. Their job is to put money out and make money for their shareholders and their company.
Right.
That's it. They don't owe you, quote unquote, better Star Wars or any of that stuff. They're putting out what they think is going to make money. There's going to be times when they're wrong. There's going to be times when they're right. It is what it is. But celebrating something getting canceled is basically you saying, we're celebrating that people, not just the showrunners, because again, the showrunners aren't the only people that are going to lose out on this potential job. There's camera operators, there's grips, there's CG artists, there's all sorts of people that are basically going to be suffering and struggling to get their next check, because a lot of these people are gig workers. They need every project to come through that can come through. So for people celebrating and saying, "Oh, this is great that Acolyte got canceled," yeah, you might hate, you know, the showrunners, or for whatever stupid reason, you know, you got your beef with Disney or whatever. You forget about all these other people, because they say it for a long time. They were saying it when they was trying to cut down on piracy. Most film projects have 15,000 people that work on them bugs, and those are 15,000 people. Obviously, TV shows are less. Those are thousands of people that might not be able to feed their family, or it's going to be a lot tighter. Yeah, it's going to be a lot tighter because, hey, we thought this project was going to come through. I got to find another one, hopefully.
Yeah.
So it goes a little bit deeper than what people want to think.
And NK Pryor just posted a really good comment in the chat over on YouTube. It says, entitlement is taking over this generation. You can't escape it. It's everywhere. Fandom, relationships are everywhere, etc. It takes away from enjoying a series of movie. Exactly. Like, and just like, you know, to piggyback off what you said, GQ, it's not enough for me to not like it. You have to like it too, because you have to not like it too. It's like, to them, they make their fandom their personality. You know what I mean? Like, it goes back to even, and you see this, or we did see this, and I think we still kind of see it with regard to tribalist approach to PlayStation and versus Xbox. It's not enough for PlayStation to fail or me to like Xbox. Everybody else has to like Xbox too. If you don't like Xbox, then it makes me feel lesser, like I'm on the losing side of a war or a disagreement. I have to be right all the time because it validates me and it validates my decisions, it validates my choices, which is a stupid way of looking at really anything in life, right? Your fandom should never be so tied up to your personality that your dislike of something needs to become a cult, a cult, you know, enclave where you're living in a bubble. Says, oh man, wasn't that terrible? Yeah, that was terrible. I agree, everybody was terrible. Did you think it was terrible? Going back to the Man of Steel thing, I think Man of Steel was a good Superman movie. Everybody gives me shit for it. I don't give a damn. Yeah, I really don't give a damn. You cannot like it, and you're welcome to not like it, but you're not going to change my mind about it. And I'm not going to try and change yours and say it's good. We just agree to disagree. It is what it is. Shit. It's crazy.
It'd be nice if human beings can do that, but unfortunately, they've been like that for every single aspect of life since people have been recording things about time, and people are still to this day trying to force other people to be like them and to like stuff like them in every friggin' aspect. They can't just say, I like my peanut butter jelly sandwich with onions, and you can like peanut butter jelly sandwiches without onions. I'm just making it weird on purpose so you can understand what I'm saying. There's people out there that
you
do
gotta
it.
Make it that weird.
Look,
you gotta make it that weird.
People out there that do it. All right,
he's making it memorable.
And I don't like it with the onions, but I'm not gonna hate on you. It's like, oh, that's good. You like it with onions? That's awesome. What about it? Do you like about it? Oh, that's cool. Well, I like it without onions, and I'm gonna not eat it with the onions.
I'm feeling so much validation coming from Facebook, saying
because
that,
they get it.
No, but Q says I love Man of Steel. Sharita Jackson says I love it. Henry was everything. Man of Steel was a good movie, a good Superman movie. I don't give a shit.
I like the movie. I just wish they didn't do certain things.
What y'all said.
I've always said that the movie should have started out with him already knowing who the heck he was, and he could still have those flashbacks, but not being confused in what he needs to do in this world. And I understand that was the point of that movie. I thought it would have been better had he already been established as Superman, and him not retelling the story.
And my main
through flashback.
Go ahead, man.
Right, and real quick, my main gripe with Man of Steel has always been that his father died to something he could have prevented versus versus him dying from a heart attack, which is the whole point of all this power.
Exactly.
And I couldn't even save him.
I couldn't stop it because he could stop that.
Right.
You literally just put in the chat. You should have saved his daddy though.
Yeah. that whole losing that aspect was the whole thing of you didn't understand the character.
Yeah.
100.
That and also not understanding Pa Kent's character is like maybe we should let them kids die. Like really?
Damn.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Okay. So
everything about that
those two core points of like. Again, I'm not going to say the entire movie was bad because of that, but for the understanding of the character, that's what kind of brought it down a little bit for me of being a great Superman film, because it's like you missed the core of the character right there.
Especially with Zack Snyder having Batman just assassinate everybody in the damn Batman v Superman.
Y'all get wild in these chat comments. Hannah Mega could have literally blown the tornado out with super breath. Pre was like, I mean, he could have flown around the globe fast and prevented the heart attack. Like, come on, bro.
Not a heart attack was still gonna happen.
The heart attack was still gonna happen.
It's still gonna happen.
Yeah, regardless, flying around the world is gonna stop that. No, that ain't. Again, I digress.
You know what the worst part is? Going back to the flying around the world thing, since we're having a silly conversation now.
Yes.
Superman 1, we all saw it. It was supposed to be a different ending, but whatever. We all saw it. He flew around the world to basically save Lois, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he flew around, got to the point where the dam didn't happen.
Yes.
But
what about the missile?
Not just the missile. It's like, okay, you did this. The missile, you're on it. That's it. That's 100% the point right there. The missile still is going to hit because you didn't fly to the point where the missile didn't hit. You just flew back for the dam to not break and for Lois's little cracking in the earth behind her and crushing her car to not happen. All those other people probably still died.
So here's where I thought about this, and this shows how much I love Superman the movie because I watched that so many times, and I've actually thought these things through. When Superman flew back around time and basically undid the dam, he flew before he essentially flew to the point where he had already fixed the San Andreas fault that had been hit by the missile. He stopped after that. So when he stopped the San Andreas fault, there was no cracks, no earthquake. So everything else was fine. And it's loose. It's stupid. Hey, it's not supposed to make sense.
Everything that happened with that happened after he fixed the fault line, because he was fixing the fault line and doing all this other stuff and was all happy and proud about what he did. And Lois was already dead. So again, it's silly movie logic. It happened back in the 70s, so they weren't even nobody was gonna deep dive it back then. They were just happy to get Superman to fly and look cool.
That's true.
So once they did that, they're like, we're good.
Yeah, my mom she was saying like at the time when Lois is in the car, she's like, "Why she don't get out the car?" I was like,
Yo, I was saying the same
Yeah,
damn thing.
yeah.
She was watching that crack in the rearview
Yes,
mirror. And then
yeah.
watching
Bitch,
them
would you
come
get
from
out the
front.
car?
I'm like, does your door not work?
Right,
Like
bitch, get out the
you
car.
waited until you started sinking to try to use the door?
Right.
Like, come on now.
Yeah, for real.
Only time that sit there and be patient works is if your car goes into a lake and you have to wait for the water pressure to equalize where you can open the door like normal.
Mm-hmm.
And most people can't do that because they're gonna lose their daggone mind trying to panic of how do I get out of this car? How to get out of this car?
Mm-hmm.
If you do find yourself in that situation, take your headrest off and break your window.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just letting you know.
Make sure you hold your breath before you do that, though.
Well,
you know,
again, if you find yourself driving into a lake somehow, that's probably on you. And holding your breath is the last thing you need to be thinking of. You need to rethink your life and how you drove into a lake.
Yeah.
Update the GPS.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So I mean, Hannah Omega is right. He's like, I'm okay because it still gave us the greatest scene with Superman's powerful scream. That was a great. That was a great moment.
That shot alone was the coolest shot from that movie to me.
Yes,
it was all rear projection. He's, the way it was done was really cool. That's all I can say.
Yes,
so
dude.
cool.
The raw emotion that Christopher Reeve showed after he basically laid Lois's dead body on the ground and he's just shaking his head, no, and he just screams like a primal scream, dude. It was great. Great.
Then his father visits him in the clouds. It's like, you must not interfere with him. And he's like, F that, I'm gonna do it anyway. Yep. And again,
yes.
If he did fly around the earth that fast, you know how many deaths he would have caused anyway? It's like, dude. And again, it's a movie. We're not supposed to dive that deep into it, but there's so many things about the first Superman movie that are just like, when you get older, you look at it like, dude,
this is really stupid.
He killed so many people just doing this.
Like, real quick. He's literally reversing the Earth's axis and spitting it back. It's like, what the fuck?
Which time travel going back in time was stupider? Going around the Earth that fast or just slingshotting around the sun?
Okay, so the whole Star Trek theory of slingshotting around the sun going back in time.
Yeah.
To me, probably slingshotting around the sun going back in time, because ain't no fucking way no amount of shielding on a starship is going to protect you from that kind of heat.
Nope.
Get the hell out of here.
Unless they got way better technology than what we think. I mean, you can atomize yourself and then put yourself back together. So,
but at least in what was the one? Which it was one of the Next Generation movies. They at least had a scientific explanation as to how.
Oh, you talking about the
First
Borg
Contact?
one?
Yeah. They at least had they at least have a scientific reason as to why they were able to open up a time portal, not just we're gonna Wile E. Coyote around the sun. It's like, come on, bro.
Like, dude, at least in First Contact, they had tachyon particles that they generated with the deflector disk, and literally just. First they just rolled the Borg slipstream going back through time, which was cool, right? But the second time they were just like, "Hey, we're going to use the deflector dish. We're going to create some tachyon particles. We're going to open a portal and then go." Like
that's exactly what they should have did, but nobody thought about that. They said, "Let's slingshot around the sun."
Back then, they weren't even trying. They weren't even giving the audience the benefit of doubt, being smart enough to understand that one. They were just like, "Look, man, Wile E. Coyote around the sun. Let's go."
I'm gonna stick with NK Prior 12. I'm gonna stick with the Speed Force. Fuck that. I'll stick with Speed Force.
Oh god.
Oh wait. We talking the movie Flash? The movie Flash literally like running backwards in place. Like, oh my god.
No, I'll do the TV show. Fuck that. Fuck that movie.
The TV show, at least Barry was running forward. In the fucking movie, he's literally just running backwards right there in place. Like, first of all, how in the hell do you even do that? Run backwards right in place. Like, what?
That's stupid.
I mean, you can do it. It looks stupid no matter how you do it. I mean, it's like he's doing the reverse running man, but it's just like
the reverse running man. 100%.
The floating head to peek through and check if he was in the right time was good for me. I'm like, y'all are just don't even care. Y'all just like, look, the movie's done. We're just gonna make it. We're just gonna let it happen because
oh
my goodness, so many things.
Literally, I will never forget what we were saying on Sunday when we were meeting on our new set. And you was telling Dido if he wants some of them pizzerias, he could literally just run backwards in time, poke his head out, time space continuum, grab himself a bag or a box, and then Come on back.
Right. And then we get to see the fallout of what happens after he did it.
Oh,
Next thing you know, Duke Ray Scott is Wolverine instead of Hugh Jackman.
Exactly.
Or something.
Dude,
I'll
admit, okay.
MCU and everything else.
As much as we shit on that Flash movie, the whole flipping of the Back to the Future, where it was literally Eric Stoltz instead of Michael J. Fox as Marty McFly was incredible. It just blew my mind. Like everything about that was
what
awesome.
have made that even cooler. And I don't remember who owns the rights to Back to the Future. Obviously, Warner Brothers probably has some Universal. So they could have paid him for it. They should have just used that original footage of the diner scene where Eric Stoltz was still there and showed like Barry watching that. Like, what movie is this?
Right.
Like, this can't. It's like Back to the Future. We talking about Eric Stoltz's greatest movie or whatever. That would have been
yeah.
It's like
Tequila is not just pizza. It's pizzeria chips made by the Keebler Elves. They're the best potato chips that have ever existed, and I would, grab them and bring them into my existence again.
So the rub would be, who would Dido have killed if he had taken that one bag of chips that somebody was clearly looking for? You know, some kid might have run out into the street and said, "Oh, you didn't have my damn chips," and he just runs outside and gets hit by a damn by truck coon and gets sent to another world.
I mean, because like, you know, Barry moving that one can of sauce like changed the entire Batman. Like put him in a whole different universe with a completely different Batman. So that's just a can
like it's George Clooney. Like what? Like, come on, bro. Like how?
Which I thought that was a cool cameo though.
It was a cool cameo.
That in and of itself was a cool cameo. Some of the other cameos were a bit but you know, that was a pretty cool cameo.
Which one did you not like? And which
it's not so much that I didn't like them. It's just, and again, I know it's somebody's job to get this done. However, if that's the crux of your like big, you know, like imagine if they did the cameos in Deadpool Wolverine and they let the B team handle that whole sequence. That wouldn't. It's just that's how I felt about the Flash cameos, because I'm like, Christopher Reeve cameo, and again, he's long since passed away.
Okay,
but you can do a better job on those character models and those face models. If that's going to be a big highlight moment in your film, that should have looked pristine. Regardless of how weird them babies look in the first opening sequence or whatever, if you know for a fact you're going to have this moment, you got Nicolas Cage Superman and Christopher Reeve Superman and Adam West Batman, all these other things you're going to show, they should have looked immaculate. If that was going to be this big, that's awesome moment, they should have put all as much as they could put behind it to make that look great. And it just felt like it did.
I agree. Y'all wild in the chat. He says the effect. T-King says the effect would be GQ would be replaced by Iguana Man on the show, I guess. Iguana Man also says that Nicolas Cage cameo was dope. I'm sorry. To me,
and again, I'm not saying it wasn't. I'm just saying that whole cameo sequence should have looked amazing all the way through.
It could look kind of janky. I had to fight the spider. Got to put that spider in there.
Which was cool.
With the spider.
That was a great joke for everybody that knows.
I think the joke. Yeah.
I think that was a tremendous missed opportunity for Warner Brothers, because Hand of Omega said it. The Flash movie should have united him with the Flashes of the 2 TV series. That would have been amazing.
Oh, absolutely.
Amazing. That would have been amazing.
I mean, they could put him in the damn TV show, but they can't give the
I know, right?
Cast. That's some bullshit,
I know, right?
Dog.
That is some bullshit, bro. That is some bullshit. Imagine how much our minds would have been blown had, instead of him running back in time and meeting his younger self, he was palling around with Grant Gustin and Barry John Wesley.
Yeah.
Instead, like
that probably would have been a heck of a lot better.
That would have been an amazing,
especially because they put him on the show. They put Ezra Miller on the show.
Yeah,
they did. Literally.
They shouldn't. Yeah, they shouldn't have did that, because like he was like, yeah.
Let's talk about this real quick. So Takeem just put it in the chat. Shout out to Michael Keaton for getting paid for Warner Brothers twice to play old Bruce, Flash, and Batgirl. Now, this man came out and they asked him about
they did
how he felt about Batgirl getting canceled. He was like, I don't care. It was a nice check to cash.
Yeah, no.
Essentially, which is really all they really care about. They really don't like. They got paid. They don't really care whether the movie got canceled or not. If they didn't get paid, then they would be crying about it. 100%, no
Right.
question. They
Like,
would be
like,
crying.
and the thing is, he would have cared more if he probably had more on the back end, like part of his contract. Like, for example, if he
Yeah,
got paid
like
a little
box
bit
office.
less, yeah, and then because more of his stuff would be made on the back end, then he would probably be
Mhm.
pissed about it, obviously. But he probably got all his money up front as a cameo, it's it's whatever. And like you said, it's a job. At the end of the day, as much as we love these films, love these TV shows and whatever, they're a job for somebody. That's it.
Yeah,
Like
that's it.
that's we
That's
can
how they make
tie
their money.
our emotions and feelings into the stories that are being told. This is work for somebody. That's it.
Yeah, it is. It is work for someone. All right,
And
guys.
it's
No, go ahead. Finish your thought. Go
no,
ahead.
I was gonna say, and it's like the same. And I'm just gonna bring it up for athletes too. It's their job to go out and play football, go out and play basketball. That's how they make their money for their families. So
Yep.
you got, yep. So
Yeah. Hand of Omega brought up a good one. He says that's a good idea for a show. Cameos that should have happened. I could get down with that. I can get
Okay.
down with that.
We can figure out a
Cameos that
structure
should have
and
happened.
come up with something like that.
Yeah, that could be something. Before we get out of here, real brief. This may take up a little bit extra time, but you guys let me know if you want to talk about it. This whole thing with Bo DeMayo seems to be pretty ugly. The Bo DeMayo being the former X-Men 97 director. And everybody's always been wondering, why in the hell did Bo DeMayo get fired? Of course, on this show, I said, well, I wonder if it's because he had his OnlyFans and he was doing something wild with it. But we always thought, speculation. We don't know what the hell is going on. We don't know why this man got fired, but something is going to come out and we're going to talk about it. Well, some more details seemingly have come out. First, Bo DeMayo decided to say, "Oh, well, Disney fired me because let me pull up the specific
All right. And
post."
while you're doing that, I'm going to correct you real quick. Hand of Omega said that wasn't me. It was actually Iguana Man that came up with the cameos that should have happened idea.
Oh, okay.
It was
My
the
bad.
time shift for him. He just shifted time a little bit.
Yeah, my bad. My bad. My bad on that.
I think as for the Bo DeMayo thing, he should have kept his dick in his pants, especially with your coworkers. You don't fuck around with your coworkers.
Listen. So
do your job and go home.
Bo DeMayo decided to say, here are the quotes. He says, "Personally, I'm so grateful to have worked on X-Men 97, collaborating with some amazingly talented folks. Creating this revival was a dream come true. However, it felt pressing me to speak up in the wake of leaving the show." And then he says, he posted a post of essentially a character, an Instagram post of someone making a drawing of him as almost a halfway naked Cyclops. X-Men fan art that he posted on Instagram for Gay Pride on June. If you guys didn't know, this is a gay black man. Marvel sent a letter to me notifying me that they'd stripped my season 2 credits due to that post. Sadly, this is the latest in troubling pattern suffered, through while working on X-Men 97 and Blade. Did you guys know he was actually writing Blade at one point? The Blade movie.
No.
There's something about that.
All right.
He says, "I'll have more to say soon, but I must take a step back from social media to find a safer space for me to be out proud and nerdy." Disney shot back. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. See what Disney has to say. Go ahead.
Disney shot back saying that essentially, no, he's basically misconstruing the reason he got fired. He knows why he got fired. He got fired for repeatedly violating things that were on the termination clause in his contract. Sources say that following his exit from being fired, an agreement was reached between the two parties over the issue of tweeting about the show, something that DeMayo had continuously done over the course of while X-Men 97 was coming out. In light of those breaches, that's what got his credit removed for season 2, because he kept talking about the show and they told him, "Hey man, shut up. Stop talking about the show in any capacity. Stop talking about it."
What
he
people have
didn't
to
do that.
understand, what people have to understand, and again, I've said this a bunch of times. Disney is a company that's gonna always have their damn receipts. They
Mhm.
just are. They've been around too long. They know the game. Social media might be a new thing for the entire, we grew up in seeing social media become a thing. I would guarantee you they had contingencies for that even before it existed. It's one of
Mhm.
those things of like, look, treat it as a job. Like Dido said, you don't send goofy stuff to your employees or your coworkers or other people that you're working around. Certain things is just like, look, man, I don't care if you're gay, pride, or whatever. I don't care if you're gay, straight,
Yep.
robot, android, whatever. Nobody at work needs to be exposed to your beliefs, feelings, or any of that stuff that has nothing to do with your job at hand.
Mhm.
You are a writer. Write, turn your scripts in, go home.
Yep.
End of
So
story. You can be whatever the heck you want to be in your private life. Do not pull any of the properties that you are involved in writing
mhm.
into your private life, because guess what? You don't own those. I don't care how good your stories
Mhm.
are. At the end of the day, you don't own those properties.
Mhm.
However, as a writer for a particular project related that's represented by a particular company, you're kind of a forward representative of that company. And the
At all
stuff you put out,
times.
yeah, at all times until your contract is done.
Mhm.
So
So
again,
yep.
I have
I,
zero sympathy for the
same.
firing or the stripping
Same.
of the credits or any of that, because it's like
Mhm.
you're a grown man. I don't care what your sexual orientation is or any of that. You're still a grown man
Mhm.
at the end of the day that should know better.
Yeah. You are
Period.
not entitled to any kind of special treatment just because you're a minority or anything like that. It is brass tacks, black and white. Business is business. Keep it as that. Don't bring your personal shit with you to work and expect that to work out for you in the end.
No.
And to that end, John Jeff Snyder, an insider, had the skinny on it, basically saying that the real reason he got fired is because he was he was doing sexual misconduct in the workplace, sending nude photos of himself to staffers and stuff like that, people that didn't want to do it. And can we read to follow up? Can we read what has to be probably the stupidest lawyer statement I've ever seen? Bo DeMayo's
Sure.
lawyer issues a statement regarding the allegations of his firing. My client never sent lewd videos and photos to his direct reports. Notice the phrasing there. He never sent lewd videos and photos to his direct reports. That is a bald-faced lie and defamatory. He's also continued and said, and I quote, no one who reported Bo to HR received an inappropriate photo or video. That is simply untrue. Disney is going, but basically, the lawyer essentially just admitted that he was reported to HR for his misconduct. So why did you put that statement out there? It doesn't help your case.
It
It,
really
it, it doesn't
doesn't.
it doesn't help your
It
case
really doesn't.
at
My thing,
all.
it's like, look, man, if you get hired by a company that's as kid friendly, morally, upright, whatever you want to say, as Disney, just leave your phone at home. Buy a burner phone if you have to use at work, man. Like if you got stuff on your person that you are going to be tempted to send some inappropriate something to somebody else that works at the same company you work at, get yourself checked, man. Like that's just, again, this is all allegedly. Who knows? We'll have to wait to see what the actual final verdict is. But if this is the case, it's like, bro, that's on you. Like for real, like
Mhm.
straight up. Like if I guarantee you, if I ever got the call to be like, hey, GQ, we want you to come in and edit a couple of trailers for Disney. Guess what's not coming with me? One thing that could even be potentially considered inappropriate and would get me let off of that contract.
I'm not doing nothing.
Like,
I'm not
and
doing
guess what? As much as I love y'all, I ain't gonna tell y'all what I'm doing at all because I
nope.
can't.
And we never would even put you in that kind of compromising
Right. So
position
it's
anyway.
like,
You
dude,
know.
some people just gotta take some personal responsibility, man.
100%. So Iguana Man is bringing up a whole nother thing, saying no other company is going to want him. Disney was gracious enough to keep it under wraps until he kept opening his mouth, which is 100%. My man Bo DeMayo was doing a bad Ray Fisher impression, except for
Very.
Ray Fisher. Ray Fisher actually had the truth on his side in a lot of respects. Bo DeMayo did not. Bo DeMayo did not. Hand of Omega, kind of like Gina Carano, 1,000%. 1,000%. Anyway, y'all, I just thought that was fun. And we kind of will wrap the show on that. Preem says we should definitely table this for another day. We're a half hour over time, and he is right. I was getting ready to wrap up the show anyway, but it's been a great time talking to you guys for 90 minutes, enjoying about talking about all the stuff that we love. Make sure you come back next week, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central, for another great episode of Culture Junkies Live from my friends, the great Dr. Kuji and GQ. And Simon Says, I am Kishiro. See you guys next week. Hope you have a really, really great.
Take care. Have a great week. We'll see you next time on the same channel we're on right now.
Peace out,
friends.